From London is Chris Doyle, a commentator on Middle East affairs and the director of the Council for British Arab Understanding. Many thanks for joining us, Chris. So we know, going back to the issue of the so-called yellow line, that 11 members of the same family have been reportedly killed by tank fire in Gaza City. That coming from Gaza's Civil Defense Agency. The Israeli military says that they were so-called terrorists exiting a tunnel and approaching Israeli soldiers. I mean, how, within the context of this peace deal, do incidents like this be policed? And what does it say to you about the nature of where the rules of engagement are currently in Gaza?
The rules of engagement appear to be exactly the same as they were during the genocide, when it was going full throttle. In other words, that the Israeli armed forces can use force as it so deems fit and without any form of accountability. Now, if you believe the Israeli version, they say that this was an attack tunnel, that these were terrorists, in its words. Well, where is the evidence? Surely there is footage, photographs, demonstrably showing that this story is true. But we haven't seen that. We await that. But I think what is a reality is that there is this invisible yellow line, and if Palestinians cross that, even though that they don't know where it is, they are likely to be shot, and shot dead with the use of lethal force. And of course, on the other side, were, Hamas or any other grouping to use any form of force, of violence, then of course they're held to account in the most arbitrary way in terms of, use of executions, effectively. So this is still a very precarious ceasefire. And we have seen far more Palestinians being killed just in this week since that ceasefire came into effect than, for example, the number of Israeli bodies that have yet to be recovered from underneath all that rubble. So it shows really the challenges ahead and the one-sided nature of the whole of this very grisly and sordid scene.
Chris, as you're talking, we'll look at some live pictures from Khan Yunis. I'm struck by the solitary digger that's excavating the soil there. Insurmountable amounts of rubble, of course, scatter the entire Gaza Strip. It's extraordinary how deep that particular digger is going in search of the bodies of the captives. Along with that, of course, the many thousands of bodies of Palestinians. I mean, what's your evaluation, Chris, of how the return of the bodies of Israeli captives is going? I mean, Israel's blamed Hamas for deliberately dragging its feet.
Well, the whole of Gaza is a graveyard. It's full of bodies of Palestinians, primarily. The figure of 10,000 bodies has been around for months and months and months. So to be quite honest, it's probably a lot larger. There's estimates of 61 tons of rubble, enough to build 13 of the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, in Gaza. What you really need to see, and if Israel, if the United States is serious, is a huge numbers of diggers, but also professional technical teams who have the know-how, who can do this in a situation where there's unexploded ordnance and bombs and other contaminants that are all there in and amongst that rubble, because this isn't a safe environment to be operating in. Now, if this was elsewhere, you would see those bulldozers and those diggers be, even with greater protection, and there would be many more of them. Even to operate these is challenging because of the lack of personnel, but also the lack of fuel. Just a reminder that fuel is in short supply in Gaza. So it's a macabre scene, the way that various parties say that getting the bodies out is so important, but then the very tools, what is necessary to do that, is actually not being facilitated.
Conservative estimates put it the damage at $80 billion worth of damage, equating to about 60 million tons of debris. Chris, many thanks for joining us. Chris Doyle there.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.